welcome from to the people joining us from Accra, Nairobi, Morocco, Lagos, Ibadan. And if I missed you out and you're just joining, please just put the location where you're coming through. And while you do that, thank you, Bukayo. While you do that, I would love to introduce the people that I will be speaking with today. Please, can you intro yourself?
Sure, thanks, Napa. It's good to meet everyone. I'm Nicole. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Precium. We're a South African-based payment orchestration business, helping businesses to increase their payment success rates across multiple different methods. We're a proud partner of Paystack. We work very closely with on some of our clients as well as in Nigeria. Looking forward to the conversation.
Welcome, Nicole. I think we can take Nifemi next.
All right, thanks, Napa. My name is Oluwanifemi Akinwamide. I lead operations here at AltSchool Africa. AltSchool Africa is an edtech platform that teaches people skills across no-code and code tech and code programs. We work with learners across Africa, East and the West, and that's really what we do.
All right, thank you and welcome. Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Nifemi. Kennedy, I think you're rounding up the intros, so you can go next.
All right, thanks. My name is Kennedy. I head sales at Chowdeck. We are an on-demand logistics service, currently operational across 8 cities in Nigeria. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do at Chowdeck. Happy to be here to talk about sales.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you everybody else that joined. I see we have somebody from Abeokuta as well, Nifemi, and you have your namesake on the panel that's already been mentioned. So Nicole, I actually wanted to talk a bit about the unique value proposition, because like Nubi said, everybody wants to understand how to sell these amazing products and services they've put together, right? And your company really did a really big move, rebranding last year. And just if you can let us know, did you refine the unique value proposition that you were putting in front of your customers? Was there something that kind of prompted that? And how important was it to make sure that you stood out in terms of the service you offer to the enterprise customers you work with?
It's a great question. I think when you start a business, it's really tempting to try to be all things to all people, and it's very difficult to turn away business. And so you go through this period of rapid experimentation where you're putting out different messaging for your product. You're testing out different channels to see what works, and you're testing out different customer profiles to see who is really buying, where the pain is most intense and where there's urgency from your buyers. And what we realized is that the nature of our business, the nature of our team was actually really well geared towards enterprise clients, both multi-brand retail and financial services businesses operating out of South Africa, and then a secondary customer profile of global payments businesses that support very big brands that are entering the African continent. And those buyers are very different to the kind of startup companies that a business like Paystack supports. And what we were finding is that trying to serve all of these different segments actually meant that we were doing a really poor job in general. The features were not quite what they needed to be in any one of those ICPs. We needed very different messaging and channels to reach those different ICPs. We needed different kinds of salespeople to reach those ICPs. There's different buying cycles. And so what ends up happening is you end up building 3 or 4 parallel businesses without even really realizing it. And so we looked at our win ratios. We took a very data-driven approach. It's something I'm very, very passionate about doing. I spent a lot of time with our customers that really, really loved what we did to really distill that essence. And we made the hard decision to say, we are not a good fit for this kind of customer. We have great partners that we can refer them onto, but we're going to really double down on these ICPs. And that is a big part of what the rebrand looked to achieve, is clarify that positioning so that we're getting better qualified leads coming in through the top of the funnel. It's more obvious when our ideal customers arrive on our website that we're a good fit for them. And now we're able to build out a sales organization that really caters to that, right through from that initial discovery through to how we do account management. So yes, it's critical to really understand that ICP, and the earlier you can do it and be ruthless around then making what feel like uncomfortable and tough decisions, the better off I really believe your business is going to be.
Yeah, I think you noticed I was smiling throughout your response because you legitimately just landed an entire masterclass on product positioning and making sure your brand, even Nifemi, you're saying the same thing because you said all the points, ICP, your ideal customer profile, and then making sure you speak to the customers that actually use your products, what you like, and then refining your product and service to the target ICP. Because that's what happens. You get so excited about building, you forget that you're building for revenue and for your customer, and you kind of get lost. Then you have so many products and you don't know what to do with everything. So thank you so much for that insight, Nicole. So please, if you have any questions, just put it in the question box and we'll pick it up because there's quite a lot of nuggets of information that we'll be sharing. So I'm just checking, Kennedy, Nifemi, do you want to add anything around unique value propositions or ideal customer profiles? Any insights there?
Yeah, I could go. I thought Nifemi wanted to go. I was going to say, for me, I think it's more important that, because every time value keeps changing for your clients, and the most important thing is that you need to always ensure that you know what value means to your clients. The way I approach this normally from my own point of view is there's something called the 3-tier discovery plan, which is basically outcome, needs, and solution. So always coming to conversations, understanding what you want the outcome of that conversation to be, what is important to the business you're selling, what makes them tick, what is important to them, basically would help you idealize what the solution will look like. And throughout that conversation, just ensuring that you know what they want, and then identifying what their needs are, and then matching those needs to your solution. We ensure that you're always at every point in time, selling value to the business you're talking to. Most times, people try to sell, and they lose the sense of understanding what is important to the customer. Everybody just wants to say, okay, this is what we do, this is what we sell, these are the products we have. And then before you know what is happening, you're overselling without even actually understanding where the gap is or what solution the customer is looking for. So I think it's important to always have that idea of outcome first, think with the big picture in mind or what the customer wants based off your research or what you know about the business. And then identifying what the needs are or things you can do to be able to meet those needs, and then providing the solution to the client. I think those are important things that you need to go into every conversation with, having that at the back of your mind.
All right, just to add to what Kennedy already mentioned and Nicole, I think that, again, usually we always put the buzzwords PMF, product market fit. What Nicole mentioned earlier was a situation whereby product market fit actually shifts sometimes. So depending on where you are as a business, you need to also be very observant of how your customers are also shifting. Because sometimes customer needs actually shift, and you need to be also aware and take away your own personal biases or your own personal preference into the equation. Sometimes, as founders, we always think about the solution from our own point of view and not necessarily the customer's point of view. And that's, in a way, it's even the biggest blocker. And so you are not able to even see things from the customer's point of view. Ask questions that will get you to the answers that you can solve for. But usually what happens is that you are answering your own biases. You are not necessarily, you're looking for answers for your own, what you want in the product. How you have dreamt about the product, how you have dreamt about the sales, how you have dreamt about, this is how I'm making the 10x growth this year, all of that kind of stuff, right? And then you get into the market and the market tells you and shocks you with, this is not what we really want. And so you have to be open-minded enough to be able to know the difference as to, am I asking the questions with the angle of, I want to actually learn more from the customers, I want to actually build more for these guys, or I'm just trying to force what I have down their throats in a way that I just need to make more, just get things running. Over time, you realize that yes, that can work, but it will not get you to the scale that you're looking for. And I think that it's important that you have that at the back of your mind. So if you're handling focus groups, try to keep the questions open enough to understand the customer's needs so that you know what you're building for.
Sorry,
exactly.
just to buttress what Nifemi is saying. A lot of people say selling is hard, and I get it. It's a hard gig. But when you're able to like identify what value means to a client, and you know the solutions that you have as a business, it becomes very easy to match both together, and you're able to like make a sale. I think where people lose the plot a lot is not being able to identify that value and just going straight ahead to like start selling without understanding what the value is. So identifying that value helps you ensure that you're able to close a deal, you're able to like, have progressive conversations with clients, you're able to like understand what they need at every point in time, and you're able to like match solutions that your team has to the need that the customer or the business wants. Yeah, sorry, wanted to add
Exactly. No, it's good you added that. And just to buttress the point you made, number one, research the customer before you actually meet the customer. It's so important. And then the product and service is solving a problem for your client. So you have to understand what are the triggers, or what are the there's so many frameworks we use in sales. One of the frameworks is the cost of inaction. If the person doesn't do it, like what happens? And then to your point, Nifemi, you said stop dreaming. I loved it. Get your head out of the clouds and really be very practical and pragmatic as to the product and service that the customer needs. And then, Nicole, I don't believe you can sell if you don't use data-driven insight. So I really like the fact that you really leverage that in the rebrand to position yourselves more as a solution provider to your customer, like speaking to your ICP directly. And just to the point of speaking to your ICP as you did the rebrand, how did that look in terms of managing or handling objections when you presented your service to the customer? What were the common things that the customer pushed back on, and how were you able to actually overcome that to close the engagement with them?
Sure. I think that one of the reasons that particularly founders, or when you're a smaller team and you just start doing sales, there's a lot of fear and nervousness around sales, is that people are really fearful of no. You're fearful to put something out into the market because you've worked so hard, you really have thought so highly of your solutions, and now it's about being vulnerable and being in front of a customer, and now there's the potential to get real feedback. And that can be really, really scary. And I think some founders sit in a lot of iteration to avoid actually going out and doing sales. I think something I try and reframe for myself is the default state of the universe is no, right? If I want a job, the default state is no. If I want to, go out and achieve something, the default state of the universe is no. It's my job to turn that no into a yes. And the way that we do that is exactly what Kennedy is saying, which is identifying two different things that are of commensurate value. So really trying to understand from your clients, what is it that they value? In an e-commerce business, that might be better conversion rates. And we might be able to trade off slightly higher pricing if we're able to guarantee or prove to you that we can increase your conversion rates and build you a business case around what that's going to do. In other clients, it might be that I am really growing quickly. My systems are just becoming unmanageable. Technical complexity is just overwhelming me as a business. And so if we can show you the simplification, the efficiency gain that you get, you can move away from some of the objections around pricing, right? We've also seen that with our clients, I think a lot of people try to sell to similar people inside an organization, and particularly in our B2B environment and in enterprise businesses, there's more than one buyer. And so understanding where the objections are coming from and what matters to the different people that you're selling to can, again, help you land the right value points in the right way that you're able to move past some of the objections that you typically hear around cost, or the switching cost is too high, or the risk of a newer business that I'm not yet familiar with. But tactically, if I'm a founder and I'm sitting today, like typically the big objections we hear are price. I don't want to be locked into something. I don't want to pay a recurring fee. You're new. There's risk. I don't trust you. And then there's a switching cost, right? And so as a salesperson and as a team, I'm thinking about how can we reduce those frictions in how we sell, but also in how we build our product. It's got to be a holistic team effort. Sales can't make magic happen necessarily. So cost, it's trying to shift to a value-based conversation. It's about understanding that value unit and making sure that your pricing structure scales accordingly. So if someone's bringing me more volume, I can charge them a lower price, right? It's about having levers in the negotiation that I can play with. So you actually want to put more into your pricing structure so that you can take things away. So we have things like minimum monthly commitments. It's really hard for certain kind of customers to agree to those. So those are things that we can take out. But positioning it as a fair exchange, you never take away something without asking for something back, right? So it's all about these trade-offs that are happening in the conversation. If I think about switching costs, so how can we make it as easy as possible? Well, if you've already got a gateway that you really love, bring it with you, slot it into our orchestration platform, and we can give you additional capability that can help you achieve these value levers around conversion, around technical efficiency. So trying to mitigate some of those. And then credibility, we've got a really good relationship with our acquirers. And if it's a customer that is a tier 1 customer that we're really trying to win over, I bring the bank to the meeting. I have them sit in the room because everyone now feels safe because the bank's there for some reason. So there are ways, I think, if you can really understand what is it that is driving that underlying objection, then you can think creatively around ways to solve that rather than fearing no. Like no is not the end of the conversation. No is understanding what's the hurdle I need to overcome.
Exactly. And around the no, like I always say that I haven't started selling until I've heard my first no. I don't know if you really want to buy it until you tell me no, right? And that's when the blood starts rushing. But to your point, Nicole, I think it's really powerful for founders to remember that your product only solves a problem if you sell it. Like if somebody adopts it, that's the only time that a problem is solved. And just coming back to the complexity of going through negotiation, managing the objections. Like you said, you have your front pocket, your back pocket, the things you can give up. I think, Kennedy, one of the things I would like to even understand is how did Chowdeck close the exclusive deals that you did with ShopRite and Chicken Republic? Because Chowdeck is tell us. It's not recorded.
Nicole really touched some really important points. I think from where I sit, there are 5 major blockers to closing every deal when it comes to objections. She pretty much touched on all of them, which is the need for the business. Perhaps the business is not seeing the need at when you're selling it. And this could be they're just talking to the wrong person, which she mentioned earlier. Or you haven't understood the person's persona, so you don't know how to talk to the person or how to connect deeply with the person to be able to communicate the value proposition you're bringing on board. So the first thing is need. And we could be able to figure out, once you be able to figure out what the person who needs the solution the most, then you're making a little bit of progress. The second thing is cost and budget, which she also touched about. And, in times like this, I think it's important, with the current economy and how things are going, it's important that businesses start thinking about ways to be able to play around cost in a way where it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't also hurt the business that's trying to buy from you. So think about bundles and stuff that you can be able to create that business can still key into, even if it's not the main thing you want to sell, but just find out a way to create bundle values that people can still buy. Can be a way for you to navigate objections. For us with Chicken Republic and the rest, I think we already had a relationship with them where we understood what each other needed. They are a QSR that wanted to grow tremendously and still want to grow. They have a vision to be able to serve Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, even serve properly. And for us, we wanted to be that partner that you can rely on, that reliable partner that can bring you that vision that you want to meet. So we already had an understanding of what the need was. Also on the cost side, we were able to understand what people want. And that's why you see the 1,000 naira food that is out there, because a lot of people want to enjoy, meal at an affordable cost. And between both of us, we were able to understand what that need was, and we were able to make it happen. And then the third part of an objection that I think she also touched on was trust, which is basically maybe the client is not confident enough that, you've achieved success with clients that are on the same level as them. So you need to be able to like show that, that refined ability to be able to meet needs. And for us, we've partnered with like a lot of brands initially in the past that have been able to like deliver value. I don't think I think of any top brand that is not on Chowdeck today. And for that, it's easy to see that, for a brand to be partnering with multiple brands in that manner means we are delivering something unique, something businesses want to buy, and makes it easy to overcome hurdles in that manner. And then, of course, there is, the urgency of, which is the last bit of objection. That's urgency. That means probably the business is not seeing the impact that you would make if you come on board. So they just think, if we don't make this decision now, it's fine. But like, if you're able to show them the urgency, the need of making that decision, and if they don't make that decision, what would happen if they don't make it? It makes it easier for you to scale through that objection, and we're able to do that. So for us, it's a win-win because both businesses could meet each other in the middle, and we both understood where each other wanted to get. So we want to be we want it to be that whenever anybody thinks of food, the first thing that comes to your mind is Chowdeck. Like, we want to be that brand that it comes to your mind whenever you want to think of not just food, grocery, pharmaceutical, anything you want to think of buying in that manner across those three product outlets. You think of Chowdeck first, and that's what we achieved with Chicken Republic in that partnership. To just add as well, I think a lot of things that happen to people when they are facing objection is that they don't know how to be able to handle objection in a manner that doesn't look like it's a you versus we thing. I always use the 3C technique, which is basically connecting, clarifying, and continuing the conversation. So basically, connecting means acknowledging that, okay, this is the reason why this person, acknowledging the rejection, basically the objection from the client. Okay, I understand that, this is your concern at the moment. Clarifying is further asking questions as to why the person believes that objection exists, or just further understanding the problem. And then again, trying to find out ways where both of you can be able to like meet each other in the middle. Most times people don't connect, which is acknowledging the objection. They just simply jump to why are you refusing me? Why am I getting a no, etc. Like, it's important to, first of all, connect and acknowledge that this is a valid concern for the business, and then going ahead to like further understand the reason why it is a valid concern for them, and then looking at ways for you to overcome or meet them at that concern, and maybe give them a solution that will be able to help. Maybe the give and get, like Nicole mentioned, or other packages that you probably might be able to provide that would help them, accept the solution that you're selling. Yeah.
Exactly. And just to your point on when people think of food, they think of Chowdeck. It's a struggle I'm going through right now. So well done on that. And I really like the point you raised. Nicole, you also raised it around trust. Being able to, if you do not have the trust currently, not because your product or service is not good, but maybe you don't have the longevity in the market, you can actually borrow trust from your partners and even from your customers as well. So that's very important. And then also seeing objections not as the customer saying they don't want to buy. It's just that they need to understand more. So, taking it like Kennedy said, being able to go through that process of really understanding and then providing some of the responses, right? So, Nifemi, there is a question I do want to ask about AltSchool. I don't think a week goes by where I don't recommend one of your courses. In fact, as of yesterday, I recommended the cybersecurity, pack or a journey to someone I know. Yeah. And you are opening your second branch in Kenya, if I'm correct, in Nairobi.
Yes. Yes.
How were you able to identify new customers, especially in a new country? We have quite a number of people from different parts of Africa on this call. And for some of the founders, they're thinking of scale. Any thoughts as to what kind of data they should be looking at? How do they prepare to identify and reach new customer segments, whether it's in country or whether you want to scale across borders?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Napa. I think the first thing first is know where your customers are coming from. I think that usually, just piggyback what Nicole already mentioned, if you have diverse customer profiles, understand where each are coming from. Usually, yes, there might be a market segment that might not be interesting at the moment, right, based on different factors, but you are still having an idea of what exactly is going on in those markets. So for context, like you mentioned about AltSchool, it will interest you that the first ever payment we even got, right, when we started as far back as 2022 was actually from Kenya, not from Nigeria, right? But that doesn't mean that we sent everything we were doing and then we went to Kenya first, right? We still stayed in Nigeria, building what we built here, right? But at the same time, we knew that something was going on in Kenya, and we were following up and seeing how things were going, right, and proceeding as well. And when we saw that, yes, the market seems to be ripe, and what are the factors that makes you know that the market is ripe? When you are seeing where customers are coming in without even you going after the sales. So usually when they are coming in by on their own default position on things, right, and they're coming in numbers, you obviously know that there's something there. And if you go into that market, you're able to like penetrate in terms of depth and not just necessarily just spread. And that's how you think about these things. So when you're looking at your customers, like when you're looking at segments, you need to be able to figure out who are people using my product. Even from a B2B standpoint, one of the things I wanted to mention when Kennedy was talking is if you take a pitch towards you are selling something to a business and you go to an accountant to sell something, obviously you need to know that you have to put something around numbers in that your pitch, or else like you might not necessarily get anything from the accountant in terms of buying your product. If you are talking to a product person, for example, you will not get anything if you're not talking about how the person is going to use this product much better, right? And that's the things that you have to also look out for. And if you're looking at it also from a B2C standpoint, it's a question of how can you make things better? How can you make things faster for them to be able to make that decision, especially in the downtown market like we have right now? Usually when we say things about price and all of that, the question is that can you even make your process a bit much faster, right? From the operational standpoint, can you make your process a bit much faster so that it's easy, even if when the person finally decides to even make a purchase or decides to make a move, it is easier for them to even make that process in. And those are some of the things you have to look out for as you look into new markets, new customer segments. I hope that helps, Napa.
Yeah, it really does. I think the golden statement there is you're not scaling because you want to move to another country or another segment. You're scaling because your customers are there. So you're providing the service there and you improve the experience for your customer to make sure that when they do meet you in this new place, they're able to get the product and service quite easily. So I think, Nicole, one of the things that we did notice over time is that Precium has really grown in terms of their customer acquisition, but also retention. If you can share a bit around what you think are the key elements to how you've retained some of these enterprise customers and kept them loyal to the brand, and you're continuing to serve them in a way that they really see you as a partner in market.
I think what it helped to start with, to be completely honest, is, we started as a very, very lean sales team, and we still are today. And so I was doing everything from lead generation through to account management. And it meant I kept a really strong pulse on how are customers feeling, what's the general health of those customers. Of course, that doesn't scale, right? But it goes without saying, spending time with not only new customers, but your existing customers who are already bought in, regularly collecting their feedback, using them as a way to validate your roadmap and new ideas is a really valuable resource. How we've scaled that with time has been super important to me and has been a big part of what I've been driving in the business. And you'll be pleased to hear it combines a lot of what we were talking about earlier, which is really taking a data-driven approach and then looking at how you can add value to customers on an ongoing basis in a more scalable way. So I posted about it yesterday, actually, and it resonated super well in the network that I start my morning every morning looking at data that's generated by our systems. Our engineers deliver a set of reports to my inbox, and it covers critical metrics around our total processed value in general, our top merchants, our key accounts, how their payments are performing from a success rate perspective, the incidence of certain error codes that can occur, and then month-on-month comparisons. So, and I can see, okay, this merchant's TBV is lower this month than it was at this point in the month last month. That's a problem. I've got to understand that better. Let me get support to dig in. Let me get a customer success manager to dig in. That's actually not a very expensive thing to implement, right? You can use a BI tool, you can use your own systems to pull out some of these key data points that are good proxies for is this customer using the product as they should, and are they getting value from the product? We then use that data and expose it in really nice ways to our customers and to our key strategic accounts. So instead of you just having a dashboard, instead of you having to ask around support issues, as an example, we proactively communicate. So every merchant gets a report at the end of the month indicating, a couple of key metrics around how their processing has looked that month, what their success rate have been, how we've helped them recover potentially lost customers or failed payments, and then a couple of calls to action around, speak to an account manager, or it looks like these next best actions could help you get more out of Precium. Can we set up time to discuss? For our very key accounts, we actually do a much more targeted version of that, where we look at a very specific success criteria that we've defined with them in the onboarding process. So we know what is super top of mind, and we're giving them very specific insights and recommendations around those. So account management is great. Doing things like QBRs are great, but I'm always trying to encourage our team to be valuable above just present. So thinking about what bit of insight can I give, what little piece of value can I give that doesn't cost us anything to do, but can make a really big difference to how our clients perceive us as more than just a technology vendor. We're actually a strategic partner in their growth. And I think that's been a big part of why we've been able to land and keep clients over the course of the years that we've been operational.
Yeah, I really love what you said, value over presence, right? And then being able to provide actionable insights and becoming a partner to your customer, as opposed to just giving them something to consume without even giving them ways they consume it better to solve the problems that they identified. I know, Kennedy, you wanted to add more context to this.
Yeah, I think Nicole had spoke a lot about it. Some of the things I wanted to mention. I think the only thing I wanted to add is, I think for most businesses, people need to understand that your customer helps shape your product. So at every point in time, the next product that you're thinking about is very important that your customer plays a role in, setting up that product. For Chowdeck, early days at Chowdeck, we usually put out tweets out there. What do you want to see on Chowdeck? We didn't do it because we just wanted to have conversation with people, but we put it out there because we wanted customers to be able to have a say in the business or what they want to see as a product. I think with time, a lot of businesses lose that connection between them and their customers in terms of building things that they just want to build as a business, not things that customers want to see in the product, in their business or what they are building. I think it's important to keep that connection with your customers, where they can be able to give feature requests, you're able to action on those feature requests. Customers love those kind of things. Those are the kind of things that build stronger. They feel heard, they feel seen, they feel like they're also contributing to your business growth. They feel like this is our thing. Getting them included in what you're building also helps in ensuring that, whatever you're putting out there are people who actually need those products. So you're not just sitting down in your product team and just thinking about the next product to churn out, but you're thinking of products that align with what customers want. We did a lot of that at Chowdeck when we started, and we still do it today. I think it's always nice to also remind customers, just create a nostalgia feeling with customers, always reminding them where you guys started from, the progress, because it's easy for people to lose track of progress that has been done. It's always important to always remind them of the progress we've had and what the vision looks like, where both of you are building towards, and always just touching base with them to understand that, okay, two of us are still on this journey together. This is where we are moving to together. Nicole mentioned on QBR and MBR, which are wonderful things to do. It also reinforces, the relationship that you have with the merchant. Those meetings aren't just because you want to have meetings. It's for us to just reemphasize on the mission that we have together and what we are building together as a brand. And also ensuring that two of us are still together while we are building it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to just add as part of, ensuring that you have to build that consistent relationship with vendors that you're working with.
Yeah, 100%. And just +1 on QBR's quarterly business reviews and MBR's monthly business reviews. But Nicole, I really like the point you raised, and I think Kennedy has buttressed it, that the insights you gain on the day-to-day of the business that come absolutely free trump even the QBRs and MBRs. It's an ongoing relationship. And Kennedy, to the point you raised, you're building for your customer. You're not building for yourself. So the customer is actually the one that determines what the product becomes. So it's really important to make sure the voice of the customer is heavily represented in your product. So I know we're kicking off Q&A. Sorry, Kennedy. We're kicking off Q&A now. So if you have questions, please put it in the tab. We've gotten a couple of questions. Kennedy, you've responded to some of them. Somebody's advocating for Chowdeck to go live in Calabar and not Uyo. So are you committing to a date or no?
Yeah, like I said, we're always looking at new markets. It's the South is somewhere we haven't really played predominantly in. I think right now we are not major. I think it's only Port Harcourt and Benin and Delta states Edo and Delta states that we are currently live in. But Uyo and Calabar are places that we've also looked at. We have vendors who currently exist on the platform who are also operational there, because it's important to ensure that we try to move along with where the market is, and that's what data insight kind of helps us with, to see where customers are asking for our presence. And Uyo, Calabar, those areas are one of the places where we've had a few requests coming in. So hopefully, fingers crossed, probably they would see us in their city very soon.
Nice. I noticed the diplomatic way you said Uyo and Calabar. So well done on that. You didn't choose one. Okay, so someone asked, does a restaurant have to subscribe before they are onboarded on Chowdeck app? And Kennedy already responded though, and he dropped the links. And then somebody asked about the 3 C's, and Kennedy also shared connect, clarify, and continue with more context. So please, if there are any more questions, I think there's a new question. All right, so I'll throw this open to the group. Any tips on assessing how and when to invest in sales-related costs, people, and tools?
I could go first. So when it comes to sales, I think people usually say, people usually try to, for so many founders, every CEO is a salesman. I think that's what I think or what I believe. As a CEO, you are first of all the first salesperson for your company, because if you can't sell, the product, then it becomes a little bit hard. But at the beginning of every company, most businesses try to hire sales. For tooling, I think for us for Chowdeck, we use Pipedrive as a CRM, and you mustn't really dive into Pipedrive from the onset. There are multiple tools out there that can help you arrange conversations at the early stage of your business. You can use Notion, for example. You can use Google Excel, for example, just track conversations and deal stages. But I would say once you start building a team where you guys are probably more than 2, 3, 4 in a team, then you need to start looking for tools that can help you organize everybody together, put an eye on what is happening. You can be able to tell how long things like sales cycle, how long it takes you to close a deal. You start refining your sales process. Once you get to that stage where you have more than 2, 3 on the team, and you need to start refining your sales process, then you need to get a tool in to help you do that. That's what I believe.
All right, thanks, Kennedy. Yeah, please, Nicole, please.
I think just to echo what Kennedy said, you can get going with really inexpensive tools and through using startup programs. I'm sure Paystack Catalyst has a couple of tools as well where you can get a couple of months free. But even just using something like an Airtable template to have a starter version of a CRM, I think is really important. It feels like admin to capture details, especially when you're a team of one. To have that discipline with just yourself can be really, really difficult. And I've personally appreciated that firsthand, but I wouldn't underestimate how valuable it is being able to look at a track record of these are the kinds of customers we try to reach out to. Here's a pattern in who's resonating really well. I think one of the reasons that is super important is, I would say, the right time to make your first sales hire is when you've got a high degree of confidence around an ICP, and where this is an ideal customer, you have a really good idea of how to reach them and what some of those key messages need to be. So essentially, if you can think about, I've got a case study and I know how to replicate that case study, that's the point at which you can make a sales hire, because that's something you can hand over to someone. If you're still in the phase where you're trying to figure it out as a founder or as a founding team, it's really difficult to bring someone into that, because their tolerance for that ambiguity and that iteration is going to be much lower than yours as a founder. You're potentially going to create a lot of frustration, and you may lose control over the messaging that's going out into the market. So it's it's a really hard thing to draw, clear lines around, but I think that would be a good litmus test to say, okay, can I hand a case study to someone and say, replicate this over and over again?
Absolutely. More or less like
100%. More or less like a Kennedy?
A template you can be able to like pass across.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is how we sell. I remember my earliest day at Paystack. We had, when you join the team, there is a deck that you have to go through. It basically is how to sell Paystack. Like that's the name of the deck. And if you're able to like recreate something like that in your business, there is a way, like you've already pictured how to sell your product. Then at that point, like Nicole said, you need to like start thinking of how to add people to your team so that they can be able to like buy into that template and replicate it across multiple customers.
100%. And I think this is sometimes the disconnect that founders have with sales teams when they haven't been the first salesperson, is that they just keep telling you to go out and sell, but they don't even know what the typical objections are. They don't know who the ICP is. They don't know where to find the customer, like Nicole, you raised. Once there is that high degree of confidence in conversion, then you can hire someone to support you in sales. So Chide has a question. For a lean team, how do you decide what your marketing budget should be and what to throw money behind? And when should you start optimizing marketing to support sales?
Right. Sorry, let me get that again.
I don't know who wants to, Nifemi, Nicole, Kennedy, who wants to take a stab at this?
Sorry, I'm trying to get a question again.
Should I read it out again?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. So Chide is asking this question, and he says, for a lean team, how do you decide what your marketing budget should be and what to throw money behind? And when should you start optimizing marketing to support sales?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I think when it comes to like marketing budgets, it has to do a lot with like what the business, you've already categorized what your top line is. You've already done analysis on what your burn is and whatnot. Again, I usually don't advise, throwing money at the beginning of trying to sell a product. I think it's important to like ensure that there are people who are like, I very much value organic sales where customers are able to like organically buy into a product. If you get to the point for Chowdeck, for example, we didn't do a billboard, for example, up until last year, August, and we were operational for over a year. A lot of people previously before Chowdeck will tell you, oh, if you are in the food space, playing the same space as we are, you need to be able to like do a lot of billboards, you need to put yourself out there, do a lot of marketing. But we did none of that for like over a year. As a matter of fact, a year and 6 months, maybe, or 8 months, we didn't do any form of outdoor advertising. And that's because we leverage a lot on organic growth, just by network effect from people hearing about like the products that you have. Let it rub off on people. Let people be the ones to sell the product based off of the experience that they had. I think when you do that and try to position your product in that manner, it gets the network effect that it should rightly get, and people are already talking about the product. Then when you've gotten to the point where you see that a lot of people are now talking about it, you can see your sales growing. The push now comes with the marketing, just throwing a little bit of money on it, maybe to now publicly announce maybe a new big gig that you have or something like. The first billboard we did was when we brought Chicken Republic on board Chowdeck. I think this was last year, August. And that was a very big deal for us because at the time, still now, Chicken Republic is the biggest QSR across Nigeria. And for us, it was a really big deal coming from nowhere where we are known to having Chicken Republic on the platform. It was really big, and we needed to make it a big bang announcement. And that was the first time we ever did an out of house. So mostly, I would always advise, first of all, get organic growth from the products you're selling. Let people talk about it, let people find it, let people be your advocates in trying to sell it. Let it be out of the experience that they had when they used the product. Then when that has happened and you begin to see traction, then when you have like a big bang that you can now amplify, then you can now throw a little bit of money marketing into it to like now amplify it. That's what I think.
Okay, thanks for that, Kennedy. Unfortunately, I think we just have 2 more minutes, and I know there are more questions in the chat, but we will be responding. Nubi, I hope we will be responding to the rest of the questions, and you'll be able to share more questions by going to startups@paystack.com. But Nicole, Nifemi, and Kennedy, I don't know if you want to just do a quick last word, maybe 30 seconds, and then we can hand over to Nubi.
Oh, yeah. For the last question, because I can see there's a question from someone.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time. But I promise, Sanusi, we're going to reach out to you and give you a response to your question. Thank you so much for asking. So just 30 seconds, Kennedy, top of mind, what would be your final words for sales? For people that want to start?
Yeah, I think what I wanted to mention is right now with the current economy of Nigeria and how things are going, a lot of people are struggling. Purchasing power is really going down and people are struggling with like buying stuff. I think it's important for businesses to start thinking much more outside the box on how they can be able to sell value to customers. We've seen a lot of this in our own industry where businesses are now creating like smaller package items for lower cost. I think about it like a retail plan. Think about it in that manner where they can be able to still continue selling even though people are not able to like buy as much as they would buy initially. So before, people who used to eat maybe like 2 turkey, for example, 3 turkey, they start eating beef now. But like you now selling a package where they have a lot of beef as against having just 1 turkey that was maybe 5,000. Maybe they have like, now they have like 5 beef worth 1.5 or something like that. But just thinking about packages in smaller boxes that can help you continue connecting with the buying customers, because right now, we know that the purchasing power has really taken a hit with like everything and inflation going on. It's important to start creating like value in smaller bits that customers or businesses can still buy from you and you're still making sales regardless of what's happening. I think it's important for people to do it. Also, secondly, this is the best time for you to start qualifying products properly. If you don't qualify leads, you are going to end up just running around in circles. So it's important that you look for a very good lead qualification metrics that you can be able to like stick to that would help you qualify your leads and ensure that you have a very healthy pipeline that can also help you, close deals as often as always. That's pretty much what I have to give.
Yeah, thanks. Words written on marble. Nicole?
I think the parting thought I'd leave, especially in tough times, is remembering that you're working with people at the end of the day. So something we always say internally is we sell to enterprise, but we work with people. And it covers right from the first touch point that you have, everything that's been spoken about today, about understanding the why behind what people are saying, what really matters to them, what do they value, what do they need, what type of win do they need to walk away with from a negotiation can really serve you well, right through to account management and retention. So what can you give someone to look really good in front of their boss? How can you give them some collateral that they can just put it to a board deck and it actually makes them look good? You've made them look good. They're going to implicitly trust you more, want to work with you more, want to advocate for you inside of their organization. So that would be my parting thought is you might sell to business, but you still work with people.
I love it. Love it. It's actually a quote. Thank you, Nicole. Nifemi?
Yes, I would say build what your customers need and stay alive.
Fair.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
All right. Thank you so much, Napa, for leading a very engaging and very jam-packed conversation. I can't wait to go watch this again and just perhaps can even craft a blog post out of this. But thank you for driving the conversation. Thank you, Kennedy, Nicole, and Nifemi for lending your expertise, your experience to this topic. I hope everybody on this call actually got something out of this. You can connect with these guys on LinkedIn. I'm very sure if you actually just search for their names, they have quite unique names, and so I'm very sure you have no problem searching finding them. But we are at time. We'll hopefully see you this time next month. We'll be having a very interesting topic on growth, and so I'm looking forward to that as well. But in the meantime, feel free to connect with us at paystack.com/startups or startups@paystack.com as well. And if you're in Kenya out next week for African FinTech Summit, please come say hello. We'll be in town for the week and we look forward to seeing you there. Have a good evening. Cheers.